Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Wizard Peak. It's the same level of euphemism as posh kebabs. I'm Tessellating Hexagons, back with some more Spyro 1. I'm low-key on a mission to see how many episodes I can record back to back to back. This is the third one in the same session so far. But yes, Wizard Peak. One of the most iconic levels, partly because of the theme music, which I wouldn't know, but apparently it was also used as the theme music for the Amanda Show on some American TV thing, I don't know. Now, these ledges up here would kind of be ledges, but I don't know. I don't remember that part of my childhood, actually. Because, I don't know, I remember there being these ledges that you can't get up to because, well, they're there, you can see them. There's a wizard up there, so clearly you can see there are gems up there, not to mention an enemy that contains gems, and you might wonder, well, how are you supposed to get up there then? Because there's no obvious, clear way of getting to them. Therefore, either I'm missing something huge, or I must need to be able to come back once I know how to fly, and knowing me, I probably did think, yeah, I should probably go and do the flight levels in every single homeworld and then come back, and then imagine my dismay when I discovered that that wasn't a thing, and that I had to work out a way of getting up there without being able to break the game and fly and stuff, but you would have thought that maybe these supercharge ramps would have something to do with it, but they don't. We'll address that in just a moment though, but first, it's a dragon! Jarvis!
Welcome to Wizard Peaks. This is my favorite supercharge spot. Use it to bash those wizards.
Now, I did mention, in whichever episode it was, that while you can stack supercharges, it doesn't make much difference. It does from an explorative point of view, because obviously if you do a level 2 supercharge, and that's putting it in my own terms rather than the game's terms, if you stack 2 supercharges in a row, then obviously you're going to jump further and higher when you launch off a ramp. But anyway, the way to get to those ledges with the wizards on is actually back here. And if you didn't know this was here, then you might have a bit of a time trying to locate this bit, because how would you know this is here? You'd have to, oh my god, do some old-fashioned, non-hand-holdy exploration. Maybe that's why people prefer old games and criticize modern games for being too hand-holdy because of shit like this, but to be fair, how would you know this is here, apart from through good old-fashioned exploration? And by the way, kill those fodder, because they are only going to get in your way otherwise. At least once or twice in my low percent run, I've had these fodder get in the way and trip me up and push me off into the abyss below where I died. So, yeah, fodder, naturally harmless, but holy hell they're good at getting in the way. Now, this just wraps back around to where we just were, so we're going to take a detour and go down here. And this is another instance, I suppose, of going out of bounds, but acceptably out of bounds, because we're going around the outside, the perimeter of the level. And this level is kind of divided into two halves, where there's the first half, which is these wizards on ledges doing stuff, and there's the later half, which is a bit more supercharge-oriented. But I want to finish up the first half first, because that's why it's the first half, and that bit over there, we're totally never going to be able to go over there or anything, considering what I was just saying about using supercharged jumps for exploration and stuff. Nah. Although having said that, I do remember doing a practice playthrough once, where I was trying to do a supercharge to get to some really difficult to get to place in this level, and it just refused to be do. Somehow I just couldn't make the jump. Like, I could stack the supercharge just fine, but I couldn't jump. It wouldn't let me jump off the ramp. Anyway, the second wizard ledge, which again sounds like a euphemism, that's how you get to that one. It's a bit harder to find than the first one, because you have to take a detour and jump to a platform you can't even see, but that's it for the first half of this level, and I do love the aesthetic here. It's so pretty. Now then, these giant wizards, normally they're too big for you to be able to charge, but because it's supercharge, we can just sort of plow right through them. Plow. What a fun word. You can also supercharge these chests if you don't want to faff around flaming them, but that's fun, and there's only a finite number of them in the game, so shut up, I'm gonna... Because those were all totally words that you would love to hear coming from my mouthpiece. Because my mouth is a mouthpiece. What? Okay, so let's stack the supercharge. You can tell it's stacked because it's a different colour. And jump, and then you get all the way over here. Tricky bit of platforming if you don't do it just right. But I just did it, so shut up. And I did say before that there is a level coming up that is really built around using the supercharge to do some stupid platforming. This isn't it. There's one that's even worse than this. Also, there's a thief, and he has no running route. He just stands there mocking you. You can die. So you would have thought that this would be a really optimal place to have a thief, because you could just chase him around in circles on this really narrow ledge and it'd be fun. But nope, they didn't give him a running route, he just sits there and you have to kill him mercifully. I was going to say mercilessly, but I suppose that's also true. But that does mean that we kind of skip a bit of land here, and I don't want to do that, so... There's this wizard, and if left alone, he'll go through this entire... like, this whole act of the level, this upwards hill bit. That was... wow, that was really good. Okay, rude. What he'll do is sort of swan his way up here and make a whole load of enemies spawn. Well, the big club enemies, because those can only be spawned by wizards, as we've seen so far. But if you kill him early, because you're not supposed to be able to kill him that early in the thing, it's supposed to be something of a set piece in the level. But I killed him before he was able to spawn those enemies, so the enemies spawned themselves instead, because otherwise you'd have no means of accessing them and no means of collecting their gems, because they wouldn't have spawned, so you can't kill them. So the dev team really did think of everything. And we have 2 dragons to collect, and I'm already up here, and... also, if left alone, these enemies will kind of kill each other. Well, no, the big ones will kill the little ones, just not... this is an example of them interacting, but further down this hill, if you don't kill the enemies, then they will start killing each other. Also, I do believe that we now have every dragon egg in the game, holy shit. Yeah, you can see that bar across the top there with the eggs in it, underneath where it says 4,683 and 43. If you didn't have that lists every egg in the game. And if you're missing an egg, then it'll have, like, a dark-coloured silhouette of an egg with a cross through it. And we have all the eggs now, and we're only in the 3rd homeworld, so make of that what you will. Okay, I should probably start getting serious, because I'm about to die. But that's why these supercharged things here, so you can charge back and forth and go wizard bowling. Spare. Also, if you charge at a certain speed through enemies or through chests, then you'll pick up the gems automatically, that they'll automatically, like, home in on you. But if you charge through too slowly, then they won't. Like, for example, if you stay too close to a chest when you charge through it, then the gem will automatically lock onto you, but you can charge through chests without that happening. And oh look, it's another ramp and another thing in the distance. We've totally not got another bit of supercharged platforming to do, which sort of sounds like how Sega would introduce one of their home consoles back in the day. Supercharged platforming. Hexus!
Thank you for releasing me.
Really? Really? I suppose it's a bit late for me to say, but get used to that, because a lot of dragons will be saying that in the very near future. Because we've got through a lot of the tutorial stuff, so now we've kind of... all we're left with a dragon saying thank you for releasing me, and the occasional bit of story information, but not all that much. Now, another supercharged thing. I missed the chest, damn it! But that's because I was going a bit too fast for it anyway, so we'll just come up here instead. And now that I want to show off that you can charge through chests without collecting the gems, I can't do it. I know I did it in a previous episode though, so go back and look for that. You will be enlightened, I'm sure. Now, Fodder, will you please die so I can I please just absorb your inner healthness? I blame the fact that the camera is a bit slow, because clearly it's everybody's fault but my own that I'm down on health. And I'm still slightly... I don't know what the word is. Slightly amazed that we're essentially halfway through the game, and we've got all the dragon eggs already. Like, the dragon eggs are only things in the first 3 homeworlds. Like, it almost feels like, as a concept, they only implemented that in the first 3 worlds because they ran out of ideas for it, or they added it late in development, or something like that. I don't know. And the last thing we need to get is from that treasure chest, and also the last dragon, but there's a reason that I've been putting off talking to that one. So, it's much easier to come from this side because we're going a bit slower, just comparatively, because we only had 1 supercharge rather than 2 stacked on top of each other, and also we're coming at a better angle to aim at that chest with prepositions. Now, one last dragon for good measure, and I'm sure he'll have nothing of value to say. You know, Lucas, thank you for releasing me.
Listen carefully, Spyro. There's a secret area in the artisan home. It is at the waterfall. Try jumping on the stones there.
Artisan home, waterfall. Sounds good.
So, does that line up with anything that we've been looking for information-wise? Yes, it does. And I intend to fight the boss of the Magic Crafters world first, but if we have time, I'll go back and show that off as well. And we should have time, we're only about 10 minutes in. And, as I've said, the... First of all, is the music doing the weird thing? Because I've come out of Wizard Peak before, and the music's been different and wrong, so I don't know if it's doing that. So I just want to get my health back up first, and then we can head into... Blowhard. This was my first encounter with the word Blowhard. I didn't realise that was an actual thing that American people used to describe people. I just thought it was a random name for a boss because it's wind-based. And this is what most bosses in this game are like. So, in the same vein as Toasty, because it's just a tough enemy that takes 3 hits to kill, and each hit is in a different environment, or a different arena anyway. So Dr. Shemp is the exception rather than the rule when it comes to bosses being actually boss-like. But we'll encounter that in just a moment, but first there are, well, boss level times. I mentioned before, I like how the bosses have actual levels attached to them, rather than just being standalone boss arenas, which is kind of what they became later in the series, like in the second and third game, and the less said about the boss of the fourth game, the better. And yes, I do mean boss singular. But yeah, Blowhard doesn't really feel all that much like a boss, because he does have attack sequences, but you can just jump up and flame him before he can get started on any of them, and you're not really missing anything. Was that the word I meant to say? You can flame him, and that cancels his attack immediately, because once he takes 1 hit damage, he moves on to his next arena, and it's like nothing ever happened to begin with. So, that's what I meant when I said that the bosses aren't very boss-like apart from Dr. Shemp, and that goes for the final boss of this game as well. But before I continue my incessant ramblings, we have yet another dragon to deal with. Any fascinating insight, Altair?
Thanks for releasing me, Spyro. You have no idea how long I've been trapped in crystal. And, neither do I. Who are you again?
I'm out of here.
What lovely humour and things. And more druid platforming. Fun times indeed. And of course, as I said in whichever episode it was, when you defeat a druid, the level, like the bits of level that they change, go back to their natural state. And it just so happens that the natural state of these platforms allows you to hop across without having to worry about timing or anything. Like, if you kill the druids but don't jump platforming when the platforms are in optimal position for platforming, you can still make it across with no problems. I know what I mean, and I think that's good enough. So yeah, Blowhard summons a cloud, then flies up high so you can't hit him, but he takes so long to form his attack and then rise up that you can just hit him before his attacks actually go off. It's sort of a joke, really. And the boss of the next homeworld is immense fun, and it's very different compared to what we've seen so far. But let's not run before we can walk. So yeah, you're going to float around a bit, you're going to come down and just die. That really, really isn't difficult. And I swear to God if I'm missing a gem. As I recall, we should be up to 398. We are, and then there's a green one right here, because fuck you, that's why. Well, that's the Magic Crafter's home completely complete. And I think that means that, oh yeah, we have hella time. We have time coming out of our ears to go and finish up the Artisan's World, and this means that by the end of this episode we will have completely 100%ed the first 3 worlds of this game. And this is only, what, episode 7? I know, I am losing track at this point. To the Artisan home! Which, I mean, was it obvious that we had to do something with the stepping stones in front of the waterfall? Because I do like this as a secret, because it's something that I didn't work out until the game told me, hey, by the way, go back and check these stepping stones, and I think that's really nicely handled. But as a child, I never thought to do that until the game straight up told me. And it does disappoint me when people play through this game for the first time and discover this by accident, because look, they light up. And the funny thing is, I remember these platforms lighting up when you step on them, but then in subsequent playthroughs, them not lighting up when you step on them. And this time they did, and they made noises, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. Now, Sunny Flight. I think this is the second hardest out of all of them, but in both of my practice runs of this level, I had no trouble with it whatsoever, so I don't know. Also, I don't remember what the optimal route through here is, so do bear with. I believe we'll go for the trains first. Now, there are only 4 trains, but they each carry 2 barrels, so it's technically still 8 items. And I remember seeing on the internet back in the day, there were not cheat codes, but like button combinations you could hold down that changed the colour of the icons of the various collectibles in each speedway. So, for instance, the barrels would change to gold, like the icon in the bottom left there. But I don't remember what those button combinations were, and I remember trying them as a child, and it never working. I don't know whether it was like just the American version it would work on, or the Japanese version or what, but it didn't work in the version that I was playing, and I don't remember what those button combinations are. So if I remember later in this LP, then I'll try to, but no promises. Also, just a quick little reminder that if you land in water, you instantly fail. If you land on land, then that does interrupt your flow a little bit, but you can supercharge if you want to. Like, charging is automatically supercharging in speedway levels. Well, I default calling them speedway levels because I believe I played Spyro 3 first, and then Spyro 1 and Spyro 2, or... I definitely started with 3, which I will LP at some point. I'm going to play through the entire Spyro trilogy, just not back to back to back. So, that'll be a fun time. But for now, we have 8 planes and 3 more arches and about 15 seconds to get them in. I suppose I could take a detour to get the planes. 4 of them are going clockwise, 4 are going anti-clockwise, so it's up to you to find the most optimal route to destroy them all. I'm not sure what the optimal, like, actual route through this level is supposed to be. Like, what I did is fine, but in my first practice run for this playthrough, I got the chests last, and it looks like, judging by the bottom left, like, the order that the icons appear in the bottom left looks like it reflects the order you're supposed to get the various things in. So in this case, you're supposed to get the barrels, then the archers, then the planes, then the chests. But the planes are nowhere near the chests, and the planes are halfway through the archers, so I feel like the order I did it in makes more sense, but I don't know. That one, like, I made that look easy, but I remember having so much trouble with that as a child. There's a reason why it's put in the first homeworld, but hidden. Because it is bloody difficult if you're not prepared. I think the 4th homeworld has the hardest one. That's the 2nd hardest. I think the 5th homeworld is the 3rd hardest. Then the Peacekeepers, and then, obviously, Crystal Flight in the Magic Crafters is the easiest, because that's supposed to be the first one that you do. By the way, while I remember, I did mention a couple of episodes ago that sometimes dragons change what they save if you replay them. And that's very rare. But in this case, it's because when we first spoke to this dragon here, he said that, oh, you need to complete at least 1 level to open this dragon mouth. Well, we've done that now, so let's see what he has to say, just while we're here. Argus, hello again.
Cool, Flash. Do that again.
The artisan's boss is through a portal behind me. You can challenge him now, if you feel you are ready.
Just a nice little hidden detail. There aren't very many dragons that change what they say when you talk to them subsequent times, but that is one of them. Now, that's it for this episode. So just to recap, we've completely 100%ed the entire first half of this game. So in the next episode, we'll start on the second half. We will head to what we've been told is the Beastmaker's home, which should be fun. So I have been and will continue to be Tessellating Hexagons, and in the next episode, we're gonna head there. See you then.